Hey guys, how's it going? This is video 2 of our 4-part series, and we strongly recommend before we get started today that you have your Phantom as well as your GoPro and your FPV system completely set up. And if you need a quick refresher, refer back to video 1 where we do an unboxing and talk about everything we need. So before any good pilot decides to leave the ground, it's always good to run through a pre-flight checklist. So let's go over some safety tips, and then we'll talk about camera settings, and then we'll take off the ground. First thing, you want to make sure that you are in a wide open field without any obstructions. Most airports are Class B, so you're not allowed to fly within 5 miles of airports unless you have a pilot's license. If you are a first-time flyer, we highly recommend setting up the GPS in your copter. And what the GPS does, it takes the coordinates from satellites and it positions itself. So whenever you release the sticks, when you have no hands on it, it can just park itself in the sky. So setting up your GPS is a very simple process, and it looks a little something like this. And if you're having trouble or can't figure out how to do it, go ahead and go online. There's tons of resources on YouTube and Google and the DJI website. We definitely recommend transitioning to ATTI mode as soon as you can, because the payoff is huge. You don't have to stress about interference. You'll have way smoother shots. The reason that the shots are so smooth is because when in GPS mode, it's constantly trying to correct itself in the air. But with ATTI mode, it doesn't correct itself. If you were to do a stick movement, after you let go of the sticks, it would continue to drift in that direction that you're moving, or whichever way the wind decided to carry it. So in addition to making sure that your locations are safe to fly, it's also incredibly important to make sure that they're visually beautiful to shoot. So we look for things that in nature, such as mountains, beautiful sunsets, wide vast plains, rivers, forests, waterfalls. It's just endless amounts of things that you can shoot. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there are the man-made objects such as temples, cities, tall buildings, car shots. There's no limit to what you can shoot with this thing. You just have to imagine that this is an anywhere camera, and anywhere that you want to place the camera, you can place it and get the shot that you want to get. So you also want to take note at the time of day and where the sun is while you're shooting. We found that in our experience, sunset and sunrise is the best prime time for these GoPros to shine. These small little cameras unfortunately have much less dynamic range than our DSLRs and our other video cameras, so we try to be very accommodating to get the most cinematic looking footage. When the sun is right above, the footage often doesn't look very good because the sun is cutting through the propellers and you see the propeller shadow, and the lighting condition is just not as good to make the camera shine. So we also really enjoy using Google Maps to find our locations, because the satellite and hybrid views really allow us to see exactly what our shot will look like before we even go out there. So once you have developed a clear plan of action on what you're going to shoot and where you're going to shoot, it's now time to set the settings on your camera. So one unique characteristic about these GoPro cameras is that they have a very fisheye, distorted look to them. These are action cameras, so they're made to fit a lot in the frame when you have the camera close to you. But unfortunately, when you're filming aerial shots, when you have the camera far away from the subject, you can really see how it distorts the edges of the frame. So in this shot right here, you can see how the earth looks, you can see the horizon of the earth is completely crooked, and it really takes away the cinematic quality of the footage. To remedy this, you go into the camera settings and there's a field of view option, and you can change it from 3 different options. There's a wide option, which is wide, and then there's a medium option, and then there's a narrow option. And I always recommend flying in narrow, because even when you're shooting wide shots, it still looks really wide even though you're in the narrow setting. So another GoPro secret is that these cameras have a function called Pro Tune, which allows the camera to capture more data and film at a higher bit rate, resulting in higher quality footage. Unfortunately, it films in a very flat picture style, so it's going to require more work in post, but the end result is a much higher quality product. Alright, so now that we're clear on safety, you have your camera settings all set up, you're in an amazing dynamic place to film, it's time to make it happen! So let's walk over to our launch site, take this bird up, and in the next video, we're going to show you the exact precise techniques and the stick configurations and everything else you need to know to get the cinematic shots you've always dreamed of. Let's do it.